there's a lot of momentum for the 2011 Detroit Lions season. Head coach Jason Schwartz is set to address the Detroit Economic Club in just a few seconds. Let's see what he has to say about this year's upcoming season.
Tom mentioned a couple, 2.5 years ago, whatever, my first, sort of public thing in Detroit was doing the press conference down here. And it was one of those nice January days in Detroit. It was about 3 degrees. I think it was the high that day. A little bit of snow on the ground. And, as we looked out, there wasn't anybody walking around outside. There wasn't any buses pulling up. And, I think back, I'm very thankful that my family calls Detroit home. A lot's changed in 2.5 years. Tom mentioned you sit down here, on a Wednesday afternoon and see so many people, going to a Tigers game and the Tigers being in first place and see a sold-out crowd for a Lions Kickoff Luncheon. It means a lot to this city. It means a lot to us. And as I said last year, and we've sort of said all along, there are great things ahead for this franchise, and there's great things ahead for this city. And I'm very proud that my kids and my family call this home. I think the players are probably a little tired of hearing me speak because of how long training camp has been. Training camp's been a little bit different this year. Usually we have a real long off-season program, and players get about a month break, and then we start up training camp. And training camp always seems like it's over that quick. At least it does for me. This year it's been a lot different. We didn't see the players for about 6 months. And to me, it seems like 3-4 months ago that we started training camp. A lot has happened in that time, and it's been a little different procedure than it's been in the past. And I think that where we're going to go as a team is a tribute to the hard work of this team. And when your best players are also your hardest working players, it makes it easy for the coaches. It makes it easy for the other 80 guys on the roster to fall in line, and those are the things that are going to carry us to the places we want to go. So I think they gathered some questions. I'm going to try to make it through without cussing, but I don't know if I'll be successful. But
Coach, here we go. Thank you and the team for your openness and access to the fans. We've stuck with the Lions in spite of trials the past few years. Tell us how important fans are to football success, and in particular how cool, and that word is underlined, how cool they are compared to teams in your past. Thank you.
Well, these are the coolest fans. I was very fortunate to start in the NFL with Bill Belichick back in 1993 in Cleveland. And we chatted a little bit before the game. We didn't chat very much after the game. He was in a little bit of a foul mood after the game. But one of the things he was talking about was how this doesn't feel like a preseason game. And it had a lot to do with the crowd. And Bill worked here in 1975, 76, 77, one of those years, and has a lot of fond memories of Detroit just from the short time that he was here. But, I thought that was a big compliment. It wasn't really a compliment to our team. It was so much a compliment to our fans and the history of football in this area that, we sold out a preseason game. There was a lot of excitement in the crowd. Our players felt the same thing. So, we sold out 7 of 8 games last year. We need to make it where us selling out a game isn't a big announcement. It's not something that gets on the news. It's just something that's understood, and people are fighting over tickets rather than us trying to sell them. And we have great fans here. And like I said, it's one thing to have great fans. It's another thing to have those fans affect the game. Do one thing for me, though. Our quarterback likes to call a lot of plays at the line of scrimmage. I don't know if you guys notice a lot of no huddle and stuff like that. And he needs people to hear him. And I love the Let's Go Lions cheer. I mean, I don't hear very much on my headphones, but Let's Go Lions I hear. Not when it's 4th and goal from the 3 when we have the ball. If you can pass that around a little bit. I mean, we had to go to silent count in our own stadium because our quarterback couldn't communicate to everybody. And when the quarterback was out there doing like this, I saw a lot of people in the stands get up, and they thought that they were doing the bird. They thought that was part of. Let's spread that word a little bit, because home field advantage means a lot. It means making it very, very difficult on an opponent to hear, but it also means cheering at the right times for us. And when we score, man, we're going to sing a song and we're going to have a lot of fun. But in our play, we're going to party down. But let's let it give us a chance to score before we start those cheers. I speak on behalf of Matt's very happy to hear that.
All right, from the Quicken Loans Fathead table featuring player Nick Fairley. Coach, is it better to now be considered dangerous by your opponents or underestimated?
I don't know. I think that, we sort of are what we are. We try not to judge ourselves on other people. We've never taken the approach of trying to build this team to match up against a certain opponent or do something. We've taken the approach that we're going to develop our own strengths and our own weaknesses, and cover up our own weaknesses, and sort of attack it that way. And part of developing a good team means there are expectations. But we want to beat teams at their best, and we look forward to teams, sort of knowing about us. I don't know. I don't know if any of that really means anything once that ball's kicked off on Sunday.
All right, Coach. Is it really a coincidence that Judas Priest is in Chicago the night before your road game at Soldier Field this year?
I didn't know that. You got anybody that is around me or walks by my office upstairs at Allen Park knows that I have a deep repertoire of 80s heavy metal that gets cranking. A little bit of country from 10 years in Nashville, but my wheelhouse is the 80s heavy metal. So, yeah, I might have to bounce out of meetings a little earlier that night. That's the Judas Priest farewell tour. I've seen him about a dozen times, but.
Last question, Coach.
Last question, okay.
Last question, and this one must come from somebody who stands there and listens to you in your post-practice press conferences, which is kind of odd. Because can you explain your philosophy regarding a preseason game in that players win as opposed to schemes?
Yeah, coaches get paid a lot of money, and we spend a lot of hours trying to come up with schemes that will work on a Sunday and come up with a good game plan to put players in position to win. And coaches are very, very competitive when it comes to that. But one of the things you try to get out of a preseason game is you try to see, you want to evaluate talent, you want to evaluate players. And you put players in situations that you can see matchups. One of the things that happened here on Saturday night is our starters went out of the game before the Patriots starters. And there were some guys that ran with our second and our third groups that matched up against people like Tom Brady and Vince Wilfork. And what we came out of that game wasn't necessarily the final score as much as it is seeing players match up against those players. And you say in the preseason game, you want to see players win. It means you want to see players win those individual matchups. You're not interested in seeing who can coach the best in those kind of games. Put them in a position, let's try to evaluate the players and come out of it feeling good about your players rather than some team had one day to prepare and you hit them with a blitz that they'd never seen before or hit them with a route combination that they had never seen before. And, Tom sort of hit it before about, not trying to trick anybody. I'm not trying to trick anybody in preseason games, trying to go right at them and sort of establish what our team's going to be all about. There's plenty of time for game planning once the season begins.
Jim Schwartz, Coach, thank you very much.
The Lions have won their first 3 preseason games. After the luncheon, they boarded the buses for tomorrow's game in Buffalo. The Detroit Lions will play their first home game of the regular season on Sunday, September 18th. Against the Kansas City Chiefs at 1 o'clock. Reporting inside Ford Field, I'm Jason Rzucidlo for AmericaJR.com.